Good afternoon. Connie Myers here, and I am here for my Kick Butt Leadership interview series. I had a conversation with this lovely woman. She actually interviewed me a couple of weeks ago on her podcast. So I'm returning the favor, and I talked her into coming on with me. Deidre Woollard, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, well, I'm going to just read off of Million Acres, the Motley Fool Service, her a little bit about her. Deidre Woollard is a writer and editor with 2 decades of experience covering all aspects of real estate, from luxury real estate to the latest in prop tech. She created an Ask a Realtor feature at Realtor.com and has led marketing and communication at top residential real estate brokerages. Real estate investing is a family tradition. She comes from a long line of landlords, renovators, and contractors. So we have a lot to talk about today, Deidre. But I'm going to ask you the first thing that I ask everybody. Were you a leader as a child?
I was a little bit of a troublemaker as a child. One thing that I always tell people, it's a little bit. I believe that sometimes your kindergarten report card says a lot about who you become as a person, and I've got in trouble a lot for talking, which is funny because I'm an introvert, but I'm also a little mouthy sometimes. And the other thing that is sort of telling about me is when I was in third grade, I was bored. Was in a gifted kids program, and I actually created a poem about the lunch lady that then somehow got me in trouble, and that's how I ended up skipping fourth grade and ending up in fifth grade. So well, I'm not sure I was much of a leader, but I certainly like to stir things up.
Well, sometimes, a good leader likes to stir things up once in a while. So that might be a trait that kind of carried forward. So your family has a lot. You've been doing real estate investing for a long time, huh?
Well, two of my uncles. I certainly grew up knowing that there's money in real estate, although I never planned to get involved with it myself. I've always wanted to be a writer.
Wow. So prior to real estate, were you a writer then too, or what was your path like to where you are today?
It's actually a little odd because when I got out of grad school, I ended up working in professional blogging. So the early days of blogging, worked for venture capitalist Jason Calacanis, who started a blog network, and that's how I started real estate because I started the first Estate of the Day column online for a blog called Luxist. And I started meeting all of these real estate agents who were pitching me their houses, and I really got fascinated by meeting so many interesting real estate agents. And that's what eventually, when that job ended, I went to go work for Realtor.com for a while.
That's right. You called Ask the Realtor. What was it? You
Yeah,
wrote for
the
them?
Ask a Realtor column. And so that was even more
Yeah.
talking, just more talking to real estate agents. And I thought, well, I really want to see the front line. So then I did marketing in real estate brokerages and got to see just how hard real estate agents work and sort of that entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, every real estate agent runs their own business. And so that was really exciting to help people do that.
Well, before we were kind of talking about, one of the things you said when we talked to you last week is that you want to build risk into your life and you want to build real estate to build wealth into your life. And I think we're seeing more and more women become involved in investment real estate. I belong to a group coming up, and they have a group of women that have come together to help invest in real estate. What are key points that you think women need to know about the risk factor? Because right now everything is kind of up in the air. We don't really know what's going to happen with the real estate industry over the next couple of years. But also, what do you look out for as a woman? Because sometimes we think a little differently than a man.
Well, and I think the thing about women is that we tend to sometimes we tend to be a little more risk averse. We want to wait till all the ducks are in a row before we move, and I think that's something that we kind of have to get over. We sort of have to understand that risk is part of life, and we can't know everything before we leap. And so one of the things that I think is interesting with real estate is you can also invest in the stock market in real estate. You can invest in real estate investment trusts, and that's kind of a way to get a little more comfortable with risk. And I think sometimes you have to put parts of your life and say like, okay, I'm going to risk this much. I'm willing to lose, or I'm willing to bet on this. So a lot of it is just about understanding what you're doing and also building in a backup plan. You never just want to have one plan in life. You always got to have a good plan B.
Oh, definitely. You mentioned investing in real estate in the stock market. There might be some people that don't really can do that. Maybe you could explain that.
Sure. In the stock market, there's publicly traded real estate investment trusts, and real estate investment trusts can be in really any kind of real estate. So, multifamily or industrial or office buildings or healthcare and hospitals. And so it's kind of a way to learn more about the commercial real estate business, which is really, really fascinating. And there's 2020, not such a great year for a lot of those REITs because of work from home and the way that was impacting office REITs, and retail REITs obviously had a tough year. But overall, those real estate investment trusts tend to be pretty steady and pretty good investments over time.
Interesting. So, speaking of 2020 and real estate market, what do you think, especially the commercial side? Obviously, that has to be a really hurting part of real estate right now. If I was thinking about buying an office building, or maybe I own an office building, I'm not sure what to do with it. Do you have any advice for that?
Well, it's so weird because I feel like there are two different real estate is in two different places right now, right? You've got the residential market, which is just crazy. Sales are going nuts. Median home sales price huge, inventory low, multiple offers, everything's getting snapped up. And then on the commercial side, you've got the opposite. Not a lot is moving. Lowest year for transactions in like a decade on the commercial side. One of the things that I'm worried about is a lot of hotels going into default in 2021. So you're going to see a lot of commercial loans in trouble. So if I had an office building right now, I would probably be holding on to it for a while because I wouldn't be sure where the prices were going to be ending up this year.
Well, is this a good time to invest in offices?
Yeah,
Are there
I mean, I believe that the whole remote work thing is going to shift. I think that people are going to come back to offices. I think that we're going to see more of that hybrid model where people are going to work from home 2 or 3 days, but also still need to go in the office sometimes. So I don't really feel like offices are going away.
Yeah. I was anyway. I think I agree with you. I think you're going to see a hybrid of either part time at home and part time at work, or some people working out, other people working. It certainly does. It's kind of like a Zoom thing, you know. It's like all of a sudden you've got people in conferences on Zoom, and so I'm going to do a big push out for a new certification program, and we're going to be doing live as well as virtual all at the same time. So that's probably kind of what it's going to be like in office buildings as well. You're going to see a combination. I see it as being a real benefit, especially for people who have children and stuff. Although I feel sorry for parents right now,
Oh yeah.
homeschool and work all at the same time. That's tough. That's really tough. So when it comes to taking charge of your life and when it comes to risk, um, are there any guidelines, or is there any rule of thumb that when it comes to investing in real estate that I don't know if there is or not, but is there any kind of rule of thumb that you might want to use if you're thinking about investing in
I
commercial?
think you want to have a business plan for your life the same way you would have a business plan for your business. And so that means, really sort of mapping out what you want to accomplish and how you get there. One of the things that I learned from one of my friends at the Motley Fool is to have an investing journal, which sounds really kind of odd that you'd have a journal where you talk about, where you write down stocks you're interested in or things you're like different investing ideas you want to try out. But it actually helps because so much of money is emotional and so much of handling your own money is emotional. And I think sometimes we have those blocks about wanting to look at our money and look at everything we own and the debt we have, and it's kind of like looking at your weight. Sometimes you don't want to look at the scale because you don't want to face what you need to do, but it's really important to understand what you have, what you're spending, and to keep track of that so that you can make the decisions that will benefit you in the long run.
Oh, I think that's a brilliant idea. An investment journal. I got to remember that. I think I'll try
It
that
helps take the
myself.
fear out. I'm in favor of anything that helps get the fear out of your head. And I think if the more you write stuff down, the more you become comfortable with what could happen, the more you start building those backup plans for yourself. And then you just feel more secure, which is really, that's what investing is about. That's what all of it is about. You want to feel secure in the world.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Well, you're in Alexandria, Virginia, so you're very close to DC. And I asked you this just before we went live. Did you think that what's happened politically is going to have any effect on real estate? Maybe you could share your
Yeah, it
thoughts
doesn't
with
seem to have
everyone
so
here.
far, and it hasn't affected the stock market the way usually the stock market hates uncertainty, it hates risk, it hates change. But this year hasn't been like, and last year wasn't like other years either. There's still a sense of optimism, and I think right now we're just waiting. I think this city is kind of waiting. Uh, Mayor Bowser, who's the mayor of Washington, D.C., she is a really great leader and she's been taking charge of what's been happening and got some good systems in place. So the city is definitely a lot more locked down than in previous inauguration years, and it's a little disheartening to see, but it's also necessary at this point.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Well, I was on. Let's see, what was the name of this one? Oh, Muck Rack, where they have some of your articles. And I was very interested. The headline, by the way, the headline was fantastic. What the 2021 National Defense Authorization Act means for real estate. Can you
Well,
tell
here's the
us what
funny
does
thing
it
about
mean real
politics that
estate?
I've sort of learned over time is that every single like large omnibus bill, like the CARES Act, for example, there's all these other little things that get shoved in there. So in the case of the defense bill, what is in there is some of the anti-money laundering acts and rules. So what they're going to require is they're going to require that LLCs that there's you identify the owners. So one of the things in real estate, especially New York, Miami, Las Vegas, you get some of these shell companies that buy these luxury condos, and some of them are connected to illicit enterprises because luxury real estate is a good way to launder money. So, like in Miami, a few years ago, the Miami Herald did a story on this. You get the people coming in from Brazil, for example, and they're buying these luxury condos and they're putting the money in, and that's a good way to kind of put wealth in a place and have it just sort of accrue over time. So these new laws that are in the Defense Act are actually designed to sort of help track those shell corporations and try to stop some of that money laundering. But the downside of that is that affects luxury condos, like I said, in Miami, New York, any of those places where that's become a problem.
When you are deciding to write an article, what is your guideline as far as looking? How do you find the things you want to write about?
God, with real estate, it's like it never. I mean, that's one of the things I love about it. It's like never ending, never always changing. There's so many things happening, and so many. It's stories. It's people's lives. It's very interesting. Sometimes it's bizarre. It could be anything. But yeah, I follow what other people are writing about. Also, just watching what companies do. What I really love watching market trends and seeing what's happening. 2020 was fascinating to me because you had a lot of behavior driven moves. So you had this need for safety. You had this urban exodus. So you had people leaving New York, leaving San Francisco, and the interesting things was where people are going. So there's people really interested in going from living in New York or living in San Francisco in a small apartment and deciding like, okay, I want a large house. I'm going to go live in Idaho. I'm going to go live in Montana. So people were uprooting their lives and having these experiences that you really usually wouldn't have. It was sort of fascinating to me.
Well, so the real estate business is kind of like the disaster business. There's always something to write about.
Yeah. Well, the
Yeah.
other thing is, I'm not sure if this is going to stick for people that left cities because it's such a different lifestyle. We'll have to see what happens in the next year or so.
I do know. So my best friend's daughter is a senior vice president with Home Depot. And she and her family recently moved to a farm outside of Atlanta.
Hmm.
And my best friend was like, I don't know how they're going to ever survive out there on that farm. Well, they are not only surviving, they're thriving. And the number of animals is increasing, and the names of the animals are funny. And she's like, I don't understand how they can do that. But some people it's a good thing. But you're right, it is a different lifestyle, and it may not be so pretty after you've been doing it for a while, and so fascinating.
Who knows though? I see it, one of the things I found, last year was also the year of the pet, right? So more people were adopting animals and dogs, cats, sure. But I also saw a lot of people getting chickens. And I think it was connected a little bit to this baking bread thing. There was this sort of people were knitting, people are like making sourdough, they're getting chickens. There was this very much like return to nature thing that happened, which I think happens when we're scared, when everything seems too much. We want what feels dependable and knowable, and nature is part of that, and being closer to nature is absolutely part of that.
So how has COVID and being quarantined affect your life?
Well, it was interesting for me because I moved from California to Alexandria in 2019, so I didn't really know anybody here or know much about the area, and I kind of still don't. But what I did learn is I kind of got in touch with nature, and there's like Virginia and the DC area is really great for a lot of parks. So I've gone on a lot of walks, a lot of exploring the city, but not a lot of going into museums, unfortunately. So a lot
Uh,
of yeah. So it was mostly just looking at everything from the outside.
well, you are living in a very fascinating area. If I were going to choose the East Coast, that would definitely be one of the areas I'd be looking at for certain because I love DC. I love going to the museums, and I love the whole area. As I mentioned, my granddaughter just moved to Falls Church, so I can't wait to come back over there and visit with her. And now I have somebody else to see when I go back there.
Absolutely.
So, how many years? Because so you and I met at Awesome Females in Real Estate.
Hmm.
Um, was that your first year, or have
Yeah.
you been there?
No, I hadn't been
Yes.
before, but I'd heard about it from a bunch of different people.
Well, last year was I think, not counting the virtual one, the year before, I think, was number 11. So last year was number 12 for me, and I've known Bernice Ross for a very, very long time. Had you known Bernice previously, or was that the first time you met her?
I had seen Bernice speak at Inman, and I met her through Inman.
Yeah. Well, what was your? I always do this because I put a plug in and I send it off to Awesome Females so they can put it on their site. What was your experience? What when you walked through the door, and what were you expecting, and then what was the experience like for you?
I think what I really like about Awesome Females is it's very welcoming. I was lucky because I have a few friends that I knew were going, like Sarah Kazaski, Lisa Fettner. So I think it's just a really great atmosphere. I One of the things that I like about it is it's a little less serious and a little more fun than some of the other conferences. It's very there's not a lot of formality, and I really like that. I think that there's also when you get a group of women together and they're really willing to be open with each other and honest, it's kind of magical. And I really got that feeling there that people were just willing to laugh and cry and share, and just really be open about what it takes to be a woman in business, and the ups and downs of that, and the fear and the uncertainty and the moving through that.
I think one of the things that fascinates me most about it is because a lot of the leaders are leaders at the top. I mean, they don't have like Sherry Chris or Tammy Bennell or they don't have a support system. And Awesome Females becomes that. They can be completely open and share things because things don't leave the room, and they
Hmm.
can share things and how they're feeling, what their fears are. And that's one of the things I've always loved about Awesome Females is that you can share and be totally authentic with and you're going to get the support that you need um, when you're there. So if you're going through something, I can't tell you how many people have told just incredible stories of what they've either been through or they're going through right now.
Hmm.
And the end result is they've got anywhere from 50 to 60 people or women that are going to be there to support them in the future. And so I think that for me, that's one of the things that I've loved the most about. I'm looking forward to a live one again, though. I
Yeah.
miss the hugs. I miss the
Oh
hugs.
yeah. Well, I think the other thing is when you have that many people, I like the group that's sprung up around it, and just this idea that there's all these women in leadership, kind of cheering each other on. And when you see someone that you've met or that you know through Awesome Females and they get a win, you're proud of them. You're excited for them. I think that's great energy to have know that you have this sort of network out there that wants the best for you and is cheering for you when you succeed.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. Any last thoughts about the real estate market right now? Any last thoughts you might have to share? I know we were just talking about how they're talking about in the market's going to go crazy in 2021. We don't understand quite why that happened, but do you have any other thoughts about real estate? What you're seeing for 2021?
Yeah, the market, the residential market is going to continue to be crazy this year. Everybody's predicting that, but also nobody seems to know what's going to make it stop. And that's the thing that I'm always interested in. It's like, okay, we're in this great situation, but what are the factors that are going to make that stop? Is it going to be if interest rates jump? Is it going to be if the inventory suddenly spikes up? Is it going to be if unemployment shifts? Is it going to be when remote work ends? What are the factors that are going to make it stop? And the other question that I think is attached to that, is it going to stop abruptly, or is it going to slowly taper down? Because the great financial crisis, things slammed. That happened very abruptly, and that was very damaging. Other cycles, things just gradually go down, and that's much more bearable for an economy to take on. So I'm hoping that whenever this craziness ends, that this real estate market sort of slowly tapers down rather than having one of those sort of gigantic moments.
Definitely, definitely. Well, it's such a pleasure to talk with you, and I really enjoyed looking at some of your articles. So the one website I went to that I saw your articles was called Muck Rack. I had
Right.
not heard of that.
It's a journalism website, but yeah, it's millionacres.com is the website, and the podcast is the Million Acres Podcast. And you can check out Connie's episode on there. We had a really great conversation about everything that you're doing. So I think that's an important one for people to listen to.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me and taking the time. It's very insightful listening to you and hearing your input on everything. All right. We've had another wonderful conversation with another amazing woman on Tech Butt Leadership. And I hope that you will take some of her thoughts and look maybe into taking some risk and jumping into real estate investing. I know as women, we sometimes, like she said, we want to know everything before we take that leap. So maybe this is the year to maybe not do that. Just take the leap and do it smart, but take the leap anyway. And I'm sure Deidre would be more than happy to give you any little advice you might ask her for. So, all right. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us. I'll be back again with another Kick Butt Leadership interview very shortly. Take care now.